baseball is brought to you by Rheingold, the natural beer with no additives. Rheingold knows how you feel about beer. This game is also brought to you by manufacturers Hanover, the personal loan bank. By Getty, the company that gives you more for your money. And White Owl, the most famous name in cigars, with a size and shape to please every smoker. When we say we're going to get you, we get you.
Hello, everybody. I'm Lindsay Nelson, along with Ralph Count and Bob Murphy here in Cincinnati, Ohio, for the start of the championship series to settle the pennant in the National League.
It was fair with the 4 o'clock starting time. The sun was going to be a real problem here, and it would be a tough time for the hitters. That has been eliminated. It's an overcast sky. We're also playing on artificial turf, so it should be a real good ball game.
And the starting pitchers in today's opening game. For New York, the man with the lowest ERA in the league, the most strikeouts, a strong Cy Young candidate, Tom Seaver. Jack Billingham, 19-10 for Cincinnati.
It's the best 3 out of 5 series. 2 games here back in New York for whatever else is necessary. We're just about ready for the start of the game between the Reds and the Mets.
The lineup cards have been presented at home plate. The umpires have taken their stations. Jack Billingham has finished warming up. Tom Seaver is still warming up. We'll be back with the start of today's game in just 1 minute. Now, here's a word from Getty Oil.
Getty, the company that gives you more miles for your money. We'd like to talk about giving you more tire for your money. Steel-belted radial tires like these are the best we sell. That's why Getty wants to make them easier to buy. With a Getty credit card, you get up to 6 months to pay. And by paying on time, you don't pay any interest. No interest to us means more money for you. Getty, more for your money.
Getty Oil and the many Getty dealers in the New York area have asked me to convey their hearty congratulations to Yogi and his remarkable Mets for a super job well done in 1973. The first ball has just been thrown out, the ceremonial first pitch with Lewis Crosley, brother of the late Powell Crosby, former owner of the Cincinnati Reds, performing that chore here this afternoon. And so the Cincinnati Reds are on the field with Jack Billingham, a record of 19 wins and 10 losses, an earned run average of 3.04 on the mound. He made 3 starts against the Mets this year. He won 2, he lost none. He blanked the Mets 5-0 on a 3-hitter at Riverfront Stadium on June 4th. He allowed only 2 hits in a July 13th 2-1 triumph in Cincinnati. That win came over Tom Seaver. The game was played in 1 hour, 37 minutes. Here's the lineup in batting order now for the visiting New York Mets. Leading off and playing third base is Wayne Garrett. Batting second, the second baseman, Felix Millan. Batting third in right field, Rusty Staub. Hitting cleanup at first base, John Milner. Batting fifth in left field, Cleon Jones. Batting sixth and catching, Jerry Grody. Batting seventh in center field, Don Hahn. Batting eighth and playing shortstop, Bud Harrelson. Batting ninth and pitching, Tom Seaver. For the Cincinnati Reds, lineup in batting order. Pete Rose in left field leading off. Joe Morgan at second base, batting second. Dan Driesen at third base, batting third. Tony Perez, the first baseman, batting fourth. Johnny Bench catching and batting fifth. Ken Griffey in right field, batting sixth. Cesar Geronimo playing center field. Darrell Cheney, the shortstop, and Jack Billingham, the pitcher. Wayne Garrett is up to lead it off. He's hitting .256. The first pitch is in for a called strike. Garrett has 16 home runs and 58 runs batted in. Wayne Garrett, third baseman of the New York Mets. The sun's trying to break through the overcast. The pitch is low for a ball. Ed Sudol is the umpire behind the plate. 1 ball and 1 strike. The count to Wayne Garrett. Pitch is low for a ball. It's 2-1. Ed Vargo is the umpire at first. Chris Pellicutis at second. Bob Engel at third. Bruce Fromming down the left field line. Jerry Dale down the right field line. There's Billingham. 2-1 pitch. On the ground, and it hits the bag and bounds out on the right for a base hit. Run down by Morgan, and so it is a single. A single for leadoff man, Wayne Garrett.
New York Mets Cincinnati Reds game.
Off the bag high into the air and out into right field for a base hit. This telecast comes to you through the courtesy of Rheingold Breweries Incorporated and Channel 9, and is authorized under television rights granted by the New York Mets solely for the entertainment of our audience. Any publication, reproduction, or other use of the pictures, descriptions, and accounts of this game, not to express written consent of the New York Mets, is prohibited. Felix Millan's at the plate. He's hitting .290, 3 homers and 37 runs batted in. Round the butt, pushes the ball to the right side. Perez will have to play it to Morgan, covering in time. Garrett goes to second. Sacrifice goes 3-4. If you're scoring, there's one man out. That will bring up Rusty Staub. Staub is hitting .279, 15 home runs and 76 runs batted in. In the final game in Chicago, Rusty Staub had 4 hits. Jack Billingham pointed out that over the course of the season, Staub changed his way of batting. Billingham said he changed his way of batting against me. Well, he did, but he changed his way of batting against everyone. Stopped trying to pull the ball with power and started hitting it straight away. Breaking pitch is low and inside for a ball. Sellout, standing room only crowd of some 56,000 on hand here. That's outside. 2-0 the count. Billingham came to the Cincinnati Reds from the Houston Astros in a multiplayer deal that involved the likes of Joe Morgan and Lee May. He was at one time with the Los Angeles Dodgers, was traded to Montreal, but never played for them before going to Houston. Fastball's in for a strike. It's 2-1. As usual, Eddie Yost is on the coaching lines at third, and Roy McMillan's on the coaching lines at first for manager Yogi Berra's New York Mets. Staub's tired of waiting. He backs out. Ralph Conner, it's a battle between the sun and the overcast.
It's been going back and forth. Right now, the sun is out. That means left field is very difficult. There's the on-deck batter, John Milner.
2-1 the count to Staub. One man out. Garrett at second base. Breaking pitch missed low. So it goes to 3-1. Here's a 3-1 offering. Missed low, walked him, so their run is first and second. Staub to first. Garrett holds at second, and John Milner's coming up. John Milner's hitting .239, 23 homers, 72 runs batted in. He was in a late season slump, but manager Sparky Anderson of the Cincinnati Reds pointed out this morning that John Milner is a man that the opposition must fear because, as Sparky put it, he can put you in a hole with one swing of his bat. And there's a swing of the bat into center now. The ball is taken on one hop, and Garrett's held at third. The throw comes in off that artificial turf in a hurry, and that's one of the differences in the game, as Geronimo came up on one hop and fired it.
Geronimo has one of the best arms in baseball, and Eddie Yost, the third base coach, knew that, and he had no chance to score his man, so he held him up. A wise decision on the Mets' part.
And, Ralph, it's a thing the Mets have to be acutely aware of, the fact that on artificial turf, that ball gets out there and gets back a lot quicker than it would at Shea Stadium.
There is no doubt about that. A very fast surface, and so now it's bases loaded and Cleon Jones coming up.
Pedro Borbon throwing in the bullpen. Borbon is up and throwing in this first inning. Cleon Jones at bat for the Mets. He's been swinging the hot bat, hitting .260, 11 homers and 48 runs batted in. 6 hits in his last 14 times at bat, including a home run and 4 runs batted in. The bases are loaded. There's one man out. The breaking pitch is low for a ball. The Mets are making an early bid here in the top half of the first inning at Riverfront Stadium in Cincinnati, Ohio. Infield set a double play depth for the Cincinnati Reds. Jones watches in there for a called strike. It's 1-1. Cleon Jones was a clutch man for the Mets, both offensively and defensively in the month of September as they came down the stretch to win in the Eastern Division. Swing and a miss on a breaking pitch, so it goes 1-2. Cleon is followed in the order by Jerry Grody, and there he is. Billingham working straight away. Hit in front of the plate is blocked by Johnny Bench. There is no advance. Hit several feet in front of the plate to run the count to 2-2 now to Jones. Now here comes Larry Shepard, the pitching coach of the Cincinnati Reds, to the mound to have a word with Jack Billingham, the ace of the staff, who had 19 wins this year. They've got Pedro Borbon up and throwing in the bullpen.
When Billingham and Seaver met in a game under similar circumstances, a very late afternoon start, they played the fastest game in the major leagues at 1 hour and 37 minutes the last time they faced under these circumstances. It's not going to be that way today.
Billingham was saying yesterday that he had had a touch of the virus of late. Look around this ballpark now. Riverfront Stadium opened midsummer 1970. The All-Star game was played here that year. And today it is packed in jam. Tickets were really at a bargain. I saw a man in front of the hotel this morning offer another man $50 for a ticket he had in his hand. I'm glad the man didn't take it because he was a National League umpire.
I was going to say, did you sell it to him?
2-2 the count now to Cleon Jones. Billingham's pitch. And there it is to short. Could be a double play. Cheney over to Morgan and on to first, a double play. So the side is out. No runs, 2 hits, a walk, no errors, and 2 men left. And in the middle of the first inning, the score is the Mets nothing and the Reds coming to bat. Now, here's a word from Rheingold.
Tom Seaver will pitch to that lineup. Rose leading off at left, Morgan at second, Greason at third, Perez batting cleanup at first, Johnny Bench catching, hitting fifth, Ken Griffey in right field batting sixth, Geronimo in center field hitting seventh, Cheney the shortstop batting eighth, and Billingham batting ninth. Pete Rose won his 3rd National League batting title this year. He led the major leagues in base hits with 230. And Seaver's first pitch is a strike-a fastball. Now, as we said, maybe the key to this series will be Tom Seaver's right arm. How is it? His tilt's tender. Will he have his good stuff? He'll need it. It's a pop-up. Third baseman Garrett, foul ground, 1 down.
Curt, the first 2 pitches Seaver threw, he popped pretty good, it appeared. The first one, Rose flinching on. The second one, a little late on, up and in with that fastball. He's got that kind of fastball with a bright sun again now, which has just come out as Seaver took the mound. A bad background. Seaver's going to be overpowering if he has that kind of background.
Joe Morgan hitting 290 for the year. Would you believe he hit more home runs than Johnny Bench, little Joe Morgan? He had 26, and he knocked in 82 runs, and he stole 67 bases. Another great year for him. Curve is a ball. 1-0 to Joe Morgan. I asked John Bench before the game, if Seaver is not right, how can you tell early? And he said if he's not going to his fastball. There's his fastball, and it's high ball, too. But he had something on that. That pitch was taking off. 2 balls, no strikes. Seaver's earned run average was below 2 until he had the arm trouble in the last 2 weeks. He wound up with a 2.08 earned run average. Fastball for a strike, 2-1. Seaver drives off the mound. He doesn't drop his right foot into a hole. He keeps it on the rubber and drives off right at you. Another pop-up to Garrett. They're not getting around on Seaver so far. Looking up in that sun. 2 down. Watch him drive off the rubber, Tony.
He has a very low push-off and follow-through. He pivots and actually pushes off the side of the rubber. He has good coordination and balance. Watch this drive and that low right knee. Remind you of Robin Roberts, if you recall. Almost touching the ground, and he throws a lot with his body, Curt, trying to take some of that strain off his arm.
He's driving right at the batter with his stride, coming right at you, every ounce in his body behind the pitch. Dan Dreesen, strong candidate for Rookie of the Year in the National League's up. 1 strike to him. Dreesen hit .301, 4 homers, 46 RBIs. Brought up to Cincinnati in early June from their farm club in Indianapolis. Bounding ball to the right. Scooping it up as Meehan throws him out. It's an easy 1-2-3 inning for Tom Seaver. At the end of the first inning, 0-0. Final again, and the line score of the first game of the American League playoffs. Jim Palmer, superb. 5-hit shutout. Didn't get his exact strikeouts. We were busy up here in the booth. I think at least 12 he had. I know he struck out 6 the first 2 innings. So Baltimore goes 1 up in Oakland. Right here we're in the second inning, and 31 years old today is Jerry Grody. Now at the bat, Grody hitting .256 for the season, 1 homer, 32 runs batted in. Grody, Hahn, and Harrelson for the Mets. Top of the second. They're playing Brody to hit to right. Goes after the curve. Brody's an underrated catcher, I think, Tony, in some quarters. Good arm. He's a very good catcher defensively. Ball 1-1.
Curt and Yogi will be the one to tell you how important he's been. Statistics don't tell his true value. He's thrown out base runners. He's gotten a lot of big hits, and he's played well defensively since coming off the injured list.
2-1. I want you fans, and Tony will tell you, to study this pitch coming in, this next pitch. Out of that bright sunshine with the sun hitting the background, coming into the shadows. The trouble is, you can see the ball, but it's the spin of the ball that you have trouble discerning.
Curt, bad pitches, hanging curveballs can become effective on days like this because you lose it. The ball is dark. It's difficult to tell changes of speeds, and you cannot see the rotation by the seams.
He lifts the 3-1 pitch in the center field. Geronimo puts it away, and we have one down. Don Hahn will be the next batter for the Mets. His average is .229, 2 homers, 21 RBIs. Lives in Campbell, California. 24 years old. He was a San Francisco Giants 17-round draft pick. June of '66, a free agent draft. Well, he began in a Giant organization, and he fouls it back for strike one. 1 out. The Mets and the Reds scoreless. Top of the second inning. Hahn is being played to the opposite field also. Both clubs have been thoroughly scouted. Strike. You might say, why do they scout them? They know them. They play against each other. Well, they're looking for late season development. Some player get hot. Some player go in a slump. Injuries. Sort of a last medical checkup before a playoff or a World Series. Players may develop bad habits during the year. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Don Hahn.
Curt, if I were a pitcher, I would want to know which hitters closed the season on a hot note, which were cold. Have they changed their hitting pattern? Are they hitting late a little bit more than they used to? And you can pitch accordingly. You can pitch around hot hitters in critical situations if you know who's swinging a good bat.
Swinging a good bat, Don Hahn has no power to speak of. He swings hard right from the heels, but he doesn't usually hit the long ball. He's out on the outside corner with a called strike. 2 down, nobody on. And Bud Harrelson coming up. Harrelson missed 8 weeks of the season. And, of course, when he came back, Staub, Jones, all of them got together. They put it on then. Bud Harrelson, outstanding shortstop of the New York Mets. .258 hitter, no homers, 20 RBIs. He improved his average the last month of the year, hitting a respectable .287 in his last 31 games. They're straight away for him.
Really playing shallow.
Yep, he's in shallow. Ball 1. The Mets don't have the team speed that the Reds do. Mets were 11th in the National League in stolen bases. The Reds were 1st.
Curt, the true value of a Bud Harrelson cannot be measured by statistics. Those of you who recall that in the 1969 playoff series, championship series, World Series, he was brilliant in the field, and the pitchers on the Mets staff will tell you, and of course they're prejudiced, that this is the best defensive player in the National League, maybe in baseball at his position. He'll cut those runs and base hits off.
1 ball, no strikes to Bud Harrelson. 2 out, nobody on. Inside, 2-0. The on-deck batter is the pitcher, Tom Seaver. Three and nothing. Billingham's behind him. Billingham led the National League in shutouts this year with 7. And he tied Steve Carlton for the most innings pitched, 293. And Jerry Royce for the most starts, 40. Workhorse of the staff. He walks Harrelson. That's the second walk given up by Billingham.
Here's a man coming to the plate right now who can help himself at the plate. He's gotten a couple of key hits during the course of this season that have helped him win ball games. He's a good athlete.
Tom Seaver's father, Charlie Seaver, is looking in undoubtedly out at Fresno, California. Ball one. Charlie was a Walker Cup golfer. He's a top athlete himself. Tom says, tell my dad I'll come to the plate with a handful of raisins. His father works for a raisin manufacturing company in Fresno. It's a strike. 1 ball, 1 strike. 2 outs for the Mets. Harrelson at first. 0-0 is the score in the top of the second. Fouls it away. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Let's take a look at the coaches for the New York Mets. Eddie Yost, the walking man when he was with the Washington Senators, coaching at third. Roy McMillan, a brilliant defensive infielder, is coaching at first. Texas boy. There's a fly ball. That may drop in. It does. It's going to the fence. It's going to score Bud Harrelson. And the Mets take the lead 1-0 on Tom Seaver's double to left center.
Appeared to be a breaking ball that hung high and inside. Seaver just tomahawked it. A big bad pitch out of the strike zone, and with the speed that Harrelson has and a good jump off first, he scored.
So the bottom of the order hurt Billingham. He walked the number 8 batter with 2 down, nobody on, and then gave up a double to Tom Seaver. And the Mets grabbed the lead. 2 down, that's right, Tom.
They're the Cincinnati Mets wives, I believe. Pretty jovial at this time. Travel along with the club to Cincinnati.
Seaver's at second, 2 outs. Top of the order, Garrett up. Garrett hits a slow bounder to first to Perez. Easy play. The Mets are retired. 1 run, 1 hit, no errors, 1 left. At the end of an inning and a half, Mets 1, the Reds nothing. Last of the second inning, Tony Perez, Johnny Bench, and Ken Griffey will be up. When the Reds put Perez in the cleanup spot, they started to move. He had a big last half of the year. Wound up hitting .314, 101 RBIs, and 27 homers. Tom Seaver's pitch is a breaking delivery for a strike. Perez finished 4th in the National League with a batting average and 6th in RBIs. Fastball is fouled off. No balls and 2 strikes to Tony Perez. Perez, remember Tony in 1970, had the hot first half of the season, then tailed off. And this year, it's the last half of the season where he came on.
He's become a good average hitter, as indicated by those stats you saw a moment ago.
Breaking pitch is hit to Garrett at third. Garrett throws him out. Garrett to Milner. We have 1 away in the last of the second. Johnny Bench up. Bench had what they call here in Cincinnati an off year and still knocked in 104 runs. Batting average of .253 and 25 homers.
Curt was a pretty happy man during batting practice. I spoke to him after the Cincinnati Reds finished taking their hitting practice, and he said this is the first time in several weeks that he's hit the ball hard even in batting practice.
Foul ball, strike 1.
Said he felt a little more aggressive, was going out after the baseball.
Tom Seaver has retired the first 4 batters he's faced. As we said, he was not sharp in 3 of his last 4 starts, bothered by tendonitis. Pitch, oh, he had something on that ball. Zoo. Whoosh. No balls, 2 strikes. Seaver led the National League in strikeouts this year, the 3rd time in the last 4 years. Fastball again is hit in the right center. Bench is coming for 2. The throw by Hahn, not in time.
Curtis, first base umpire Ed Vargo is lingering around the first base bag somewhat long, and I saw Jerry Grody just take a trot down there. I'm wondering if they don't feel that Johnny Bench may have missed the first base bag. He cut the bag very quickly, may have been off stride. I don't know if Grody's going to ask for an appeal play down to Ed Vargo or not.
Here's another of the young players that the Reds brought up that have helped them to their Western Division championship. Ken Griffey, who led the American Association in stolen bases He can fly. And now they're trying to dance around and get bench back. Griffey hit 384 in 86 times at bat with the Reds. Ball 1 to him. He's hit. He's hit now.
Hit him on the right leg, Curt. He appeared to be taking all the way. And the Seaver breaking pitch inside surprised him. But the Reds have got something going.
Well, the Reds have runners on first and second. 1 out. The Mets are leading 1-0. Cesar Geronimo's up. Seaver's had trouble with the Reds in his National League career. Geronimo, a .210 batter. Inside for a ball. This year, Seaver, no wins, 2 losses against Cincinnati.
Curt, Griffey down on first base has tremendous speed, and with Milner playing behind him with men on first and second, he'll get a good jump to break up a possible double play at second.
Right by him, a fastball, 1-1. Seaver lost to Jack Billingham here in Cincinnati, 2-1. The game went 1 hour and 37 minutes. 1 hour and 37 minutes. Billingham beating Seaver. Cheney, the shortstop's on deck. Fastball again. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Cesar Geronimo.
Curt, Seaver is throwing small baseballs right now. His ball is just exploding.
Bench at second. Griffey at first. 1 out. Struck him out. Ball sort of tailed. I think he turned it over a little bit and it tailed away from the left-hander.
Throws that fastball across the seams that'll rise, and then he'll go with the seams and turn it over a little bit, and it really sinks and runs away from the left-handed hitters.
Darrell Cheney, he's the weakest hitter in the Cincinnati lineup, batting 181. No homers, 14 RBIs. The Reds won despite losing their shortstop, Concepcion, who was having a tremendous season. Broke his ankle in July, and of course, he's through for the year. 1 strike to Cheney. Been working out, starting to jog again now. He'll be back next spring. Strike 2, no balls, 2 strikes to Darrell Cheney.
Curt, if Seaver has stiffness in his shoulder, as he has complained of in the past 4 starts, and is not showing now, it remains to be seen when he gets to that 6th, 7th inning, if the effects of a 290 innings this year and a lot of innings in the past 5 will affect him.
Struck him out on 3 pitches. Seaver went to work and blew Geronimo and Cheney out of there. No runs for the Reds. 1 hit, no errors, 2 left. At the end of 2, the Mets won, the Reds nothing. Tomorrow on NBC, we'll have a football-baseball doubleheader beginning at 1 o'clock Eastern Time. We'll present NFL football. There are the lineup of games. Check your listing, the time in your local area. Baltimore, New England, Cincinnati, Cleveland, the Jets at Miami, San Diego at Pittsburgh, Oakland and St. Louis, Denver at Kansas City. Then we'll come to Cincinnati for Game 2 of the National League Championship Series between the Reds and the Mets. Tomorrow, John Matlack is pitching for the Mets, and Don Gullett will be going for the Reds, 2 left-handers. They're the 2 managers, Anderson and Berra. 3rd inning, Felix Millan way up on that bat handle again. The pitch is outside to him for a ball. Millan had 185 hits in the 1973 season. That's a new Met record. He hits a ground ball to Joe Morgan at second. Up with it in time, 1 down. Millan sacrificed his first time up. Rusty Staub, Wack. Rusty playing at Houston, Montreal, now with the Mets, is in his first postseason series, and he's thrilled about it. Rusty finished the season with a 15-game batting streak. What do they call him up in Montreal?
Orange.
L'Orange.
The old redhead.
The orange one. Ball 1 to Rusty Staub. Mets ahead 1-0. They have 1 out, nobody on in the top of the 3rd. There's a drive in the deep left center. Rose going back, giving way to Geronimo, who scissors across him and takes it. Staub hit that one a long way to the opposite field.
This ballpark is not a good home run park. The ball does not carry well here from the 375 right center mark to left center 375. You've got to hit it down the lines to carry. Pete Rose tells me there are some wind currents that swirl around, even in this completely enclosed park, that prevent balls from going out in right and left center.
Well, the proof of the matter is the Reds hit better on the road than they did at home. And they're, of course, used to this park and hitting here. Reds hit 243 at home and 263 on the road. Ball one, strike one to John Milner, who singled his first time up. The strategy, pitching-wise, of the Reds was to stop Milner, Staub, and Jones. They figure the rest of the lineup won't damage him much. 1 ball, 2 strikes. They know that Milner's been in a slump, but he's the batter they fear most because he can hit the long ball.
Curt, I think you'd have to say the key men offensively, Milner and Bench, for these two teams who have been in slumps.
2 balls, 2 strikes to Milner. With 2 out, the base is empty. Curveball fouled away. 2-2. Billingham with a slider, sinker, breaking stuff. Magnificent in the World Series last year. The A's had trouble scoring on him. And he has good control. 2-2 pitch. 3-2. He averaged 2.9 walks every 9 innings. Today he's already walked 2, and he's 3-2 to Milner. Fouls the curve again. 3-2 to John Milner, who looks like the power man of the future for the Mets in his young 20s. Three-two pitch. Ball 4. That's the 3rd walk given up by Billingham. Would you say, Tony, the playoffs present even more pressure to these players in the World Series?
No doubt about it. From a strictly economic viewpoint, it puts a lot more pressure on these players because there's a lot at stake. If you can get into the World Series by winning this championship series, you're guaranteed, I believe, $15,000 loser's share, and I think $20,000 winner's share.
Ball, in other words, winning the playoffs guarantees you some big money.
That's right.
Win or lose in the World Series. 1 ball, no strikes to Cleon Jones, who wrapped into a double play with the bases loaded in the 1st inning. Looks at that fastball for a strike. 1-1.
Plus, Curt, both of these teams have just come off 162 rough, tough games, 2 pennant races, and they've got a chance to mess it up all right here if they lose 3 out of 5.
Curve is fouled back. I believe Billingham's breaking pitch is his best pitch so far.
He has that good sinker ball, but he appeared earlier to be getting it up in the strike zone. He's a ground ball pitcher, keeping the ball low.
1 ball, 2 strikes to Cleon Jones. John Milner at first, 2 down. 3rd inning. Strike 3 on the curveball. 2nd strikeout for Billingham. No runs, no hits, no errors, 1 left. At the end of 2.5, 1-0 New York.
Cincinnati manager Sparky Anderson, before the game, we asked him for a capsule summation of his team going into this championship series.
Tony, this is a very healthy ball club right now. It's at full strength. I think our hitting right now is at its peak. I think our defense is the best I've seen it in a long time. And I feel our pitching is the first time we've come into a playoff where we don't have any excuses about our pitching. And I don't know what I'm going to have to talk about in this series because that was a good excuse I always had.
Sparky Anderson, who is now in his 3rd playoff in the last 4 years, has Billingham up at the plate for him, the pitcher, a weak hitter, batting .065. 1 man is missing. Sad to see that empty locker in the Cincinnati dressing room. Foul ball. Bobby Tolan, who finally was put on the inactive list by the Reds. And one of the reasons they said was lack of interest by Tolan. We talked to Sparky Anderson about it, and he said, I think Tolan got frustrated this year. His pride was hurt, and he just got all mixed up. He was a star here 2 years ago with this club. Billingham waving for the third strikeout in a row by Tom Seaver. And up now is Pete Rose. He fouled out his first time up. We're at the top of the Red batting order. Probably the Reds have the two best table setters in the business in Rose and Morgan to get on base and set things up for your big boys in the middle of the lineup. Mets are ahead 1-0. Curve is hit in the air to left field. Play on Jones. It's slightly overcast now, and he doesn't have that bright sun to look up into. 2 down. Joe Morgan has popped it. You've got a great chance to beat the Reds when you keep Rose and Morgan off the bases. So far, Seaver's done that.
Here, we've talked during the course of this telecast so far about some of the problems the Mets have had. Cincinnati has not been without problems during the year when you figure that Gary Nolan, who was counted on to be one of their starters, Roger Nelson did not pitch too much. Bobby Tolan, his loss was a big one, and a shaky bullpen during the first part of the season.
Joe Morgan looks at that breaking pitch for strike one. Dave Concepcion, they lost their regular shortstop, as we said. They had their problems. All clubs have problems. Injuries are a part of the long season. High and inside that time. I believe he took something off his fastball. 1 ball, 1 strike. Terrific Tom has checked the Reds on 1 hit so far. The Reds have 2 out, nobody on. They're playing Morgan as a pull hitter to right. 2-1. You've seen the game of the week many times where we showed Morgan with his little chicken wing flap. And he hits that one in the air to right field. Rusty Staub moving in. Oh, he wanted to be sure on that one. 1, 2, 3. The Reds go out in the third. At the end of 3, it's New York 1, Cincinnati 0.
25.
And now a program note from NBC. How to get a 70-year-old man hired as a department store office boy is a problem facing Diana Rigg when she stars in the next episode of Diana. Monday night, 8:30 Eastern Time, right here on NBC. 4th inning. Billingham's pitch to Jerry Grody. Ball 1. Grody flied out his first time. He'll be followed by Don Hahn and Bud Harrelson. They're playing Grody to the opposite field. Ball 2. I'm surprised the Reds are playing 3 or 4 of these Met batters so much around to right, the right-handers, Tony.
Kurt, I think Billingham is shooting for that outside part of the plate with that breaking pitch and the sinker ball, and the Mets, Cincinnati anyway, feels are going to be trying to hit to the opposite field to take advantage or try and hit that sinker ball.
Billingham's behind him 3-0. He's already walked 3 in the game. Right in there, 3-1. He joined us late. The Mets scored in the second with 2 down. Harrelson walked. Seaver doubled him home. That came after 2 out, nobody on. Bounding ball to shortstop. Charged by Cheney. 1 down. Don Hahn took a call, third strike his first time. Billingham's style is mostly to hit that outside of the plate. Seaver moves the ball in and out more. That one's punched to right fielder Griffey. He has it. 2 down. Hahn lines to right.
Curtin, mentioning what you just did a moment ago with Grody up, how they were playing, I think that's where a big change is taking part in baseball. The scientific nature of defenses. They'll pitch a player a certain way, and of course the defense will play that way and take a lot of base hits away.
Bud Harrelson walked his first time. Remember the night we had Satchel Paige on with us?
Yeah.
And we asked him, what's the secret of pitching? And he says, keep the ball on the outside of the plate. If they hit it, they're not going to pull it and hit you for the long ball as much. And Bob Gibson was talking. We rode over with Bob in a cab today about that. He says, pitch outside as much as you can. 1 ball, no strikes to Bud Harrelson. 2 out, nobody on. The Mets 1, the Reds 0. 4th inning. That's into him. 1-1.
What a lot of successful pitchers do is they'll shoot at that outside part of their plate with their breaking ball and fastball, but keep the hitters honest inside, most of the times out of the strike zone.
Big hopper to Joe Morgan. 1-2-3 inning for Billingham. At the end of 3.5, New York Mets 1, Cincinnati Reds nothing.
Watch Johnny Bench go to bat for a better way to shave.
I've always liked the convenience of electrics, but none of them I tried got close enough. Until the Schick Flexomatic. Look at that. Look at all that beard. This Schick Flexomatic gets closer than any electric I've tried.
Johnny's right. It feels blade close because the head is super thin, and comfortable because it flexes.
Yeah, it even feels smooth under here. You ought to get the Schick Flexomatic and find out how close an electric can shave.
The World Series will open a week from today in the American League City. If it opens in Baltimore, it'll be on at 1:30 Eastern Daylight Time. If it opens in Oakland, it'll be 3:30 Eastern Daylight Time. During the week, the weekdays, we'll have 3 night games in the middle 3 games. And preceding all of our World Series telecasts, we'll present the baseball world of Joe Garagiola. On his first show, Joe will visit with Hank Aaron, who also has the honor of throwing out the first ball of World Series game number 1. Dan Dreesen is up for the Reds in the last of the 4th. He grounded out his first time. Seaver starts him with a breaking pitch, high and away. Dreesen has had trouble with the Mets. 1 hit in 23 times this year. The only club he hasn't hit. Fly ball in the left field. Moving over is Jones. Coming on. And a drop. Harrelson whirls it back in. Drop between Harrelson and Jones.
Curt, I'm not certain, but I think Jones may have had the first kind of trouble. Look at the sun glaring off his glasses. He knew Buddy Harrelson was coming on strong. He went a long way. Buddy didn't hear him, so he kept going. The ball just skittering off the edge of his glove. But I think that Cleon momentarily may have lost the ball in that rough sun, this left field park. There you can see the shadows.
Oh, the pop fly double to left by Dreesen. First time the Reds have had a leadoff batter on in an inning. And Tony Perez is up. Standing room only crowd of 52,000 here today. What a baseball city this has been the last couple of years. Tony Perez grounded out in the second inning. Strike 1, a fastball to him. The Mets are leading 1-0. And now the Reds are threatening in the last of the 4th. Perez has been a big RBI man for this club. Fastball by him again, 0-2.
Tony trying to go to the opposite field to get Dreesen into third base.
That's the third baseman, Wayne Garrett, playing wide of the bag. There's a fly ball to right. Tagging is Dreesen at second, but he's not coming as Staub puts it away. 1 down. Perez was trying to get that man over by hitting to right field, but he couldn't do it. Johnny Bench doubled to right center his first time.
And here's a man and talking to Tom Seaver before the workout yesterday, said in any clutch situation he's going to pitch around Johnny Bench. Said I don't fear him, he said, but if I have an opportunity to in a tough situation, I'm going to pitch very carefully. You can see Seaver right then. Look over to the on-deck circle. Who's the next hitter?
They're deep and straight away for Johnny Bench. Dan Dreesen at second, 1 out. High, hard one for strike 1. Yogi Berra was concerned not only about the blackout that keep bluffing around at second. Yogi Berra said, somebody bring me in the halftime score of the University of Massachusetts. He has a son playing there. It's a very good wide receiver. Strike 2, 0-2. Tim Berra. And Yogi says he's a professional football prospect. No balls, 2 strikes. Boy, he got him. That's the way Jim Palmer was throwing today in the first couple innings. That rising fastball. 2 down, 4 strikeouts for Tom Seaver. Dan Dreesen to second base, and Ken Griffey is up now. Griffey, born in Donora, Pennsylvania. Another baseball player came out of that town that honored the major leagues. A long and brilliant career. What do they used to call him? The Donora Greyhound, Stan Musial. from Donora, Pennsylvania. Ken Griffey was hit by a pitch ball. A strike. I was talking to Pete Rose there around the batting cage, and he said, Curt, watch this fella carefully. He's young now, but he sort of reminds you of Wes Covington. He can hit with power to all fields, and he can run faster than Covington. And you never know, he was the 29th selection in the '69 free agent draft. It wasn't rated real high, but he's going to be a ball player here. 1 ball, 1 strike to Ken Griffey. It's high ball to how that farm system helps when you can pluck 1 or 2 out every year and plug up a weak spot, overcome an injury by getting a kid out of your farm system to catch fire for you. 2 balls and a strike. Fastball by him, 2-2 to Griffey. 2 down, the Mets are ahead 1-0, last of the 4th inning.
I think watching Seaver's delivery is very interesting. When he perches on that right foot, he's almost hanging in the air until he makes that thrust toward home plate. Watch him.
That's a good word, thrust, driving right at the batter. Seaver struck him out. No run, 1 hit. Greason led off with a double, was stranded. No errors, 1 left. At the end of 4, 1-0 Mets.
Hi, I'm Johnny Bench. Of course I love to play baseball. That's why I chose the profession. Baseball is a healthy game full of fun and excitement. It also has its fringe benefits. A player doesn't last forever, and baseball has helped secure my future by giving me an opportunity to be involved in business ventures and to have my own syndicated television show. Baseball is a great career.
The preceding announcement was made on behalf of Major League Baseball. Let's watch again Tom Seaver on the last pitch thrown to strike out Ken Griffey. In a mini clinic that we filmed early this spring with Tom, he did one of the best analyses of pitching fundamentals that I've seen. At a high knee kick. Now that low follow-through, you can see all the effort behind it. Look at that follow-through position. In the event the ball is hit directly back at him, he puts it all together, doesn't he, Curt?
There's Bob Howsam in the check jacket. What a job he's done as president of the Cincinnati Reds. This isn't the biggest city by far in the major leagues, yet they drew over 2 million fans this year. Warren Giles in back of him, former National League president. Warren Giles used to be the general manager of the Cincinnati Reds, but ball 1. I can't, this is just a report on Howsam and his top aide, Dick Wagner. They don't leave a detail undone here. I've never seen such efficiency. 1 ball, 1 strike. And our commissioner, Bowie Kuhn, here today, and Mrs. Kuhn, eating those peanuts. 1-1 delivery. Seaver throwing around, 1-2. Seaver's knocked in the only run. He doubled in the second, driving in Bud Harrelson from first base with 2 down. And that's it. The Mets are leading 1-0 in the 5th inning. Seaver may have drilled that double to left center, but they're still playing him to hit to right field. Center fielder Geronimo over in right center, and Griffey shading the right field line. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Struck him out on a curveball. 1 down. Billingham appears to be settling down. He's retired 5 in a row. He's given up just 3 hits, Seaver 2 hits. And they're staging a replica of that 2-1 pitching duel they had earlier in the summer, where Billingham won that one in 1 hour and 37 minutes. That was on August 20th. I checked, that was earlier than that. The Reds beat the Mets this year 8 out of the 12 times, 4-2 in each park in favor of Cincinnati. Wayne Garrett, single and grounded out. We pause briefly for station identification. This is the NBC Television Network.
WNBC TV, New York.
Sharply hit ball to Joe Morgan. He makes the play, and they're 2 down. In the top of the 5th inning, this is Curt Gowdy and Tony Kubek from Cincinnati.
Man at second base in your picture now, making the play on the 1-hop line drive, just getting in front of it. He's going to garner some votes for the most valuable player. in the National League, along with Pete Rose, Tony Perez from this team, Willie Stargell, the Pirates. He can hurt you in a lot of ways, that man, stealing bases with power.
Meehan sacrificed, grounded out. He usually gets a piece of the ball. He struck out only 22 times this season. Ball 1 to him. 2 down, nobody on. The Mets are leading 1-0. Top of the 5th inning.
I don't know who chokes up more. I guess Ron Hunt chokes up a lot, but not quite that.
Fastball's good. 1 ball, 1 strike to Meehan.
He almost has more of the bat beneath his hands than above it.
I was about to say, you had to reverse it around. 1 ball, 1 strike. That makes the count 2-1. And for late tuners in, Baltimore's Jim Palmer pitched a 5-hit shutout. Baltimore beat Oakland 6-0 at Baltimore today in the first game of the American League Championship Series. Tomorrow you'll watch a pro football, Major League Baseball doubleheader. There's a fly ball in the left field. Rose backing up. Sides out. No runs, no hits, no errors. Nobody left. We've gone halfway. The New York Mets 1 and the Cincinnati Reds 0.
Yogi Berra, the manager of the New York Mets, had some comments before the ball game about his team going into this championship series.
Well, the last month, Tony, I got to say, Garrett's done a tremendous job. Jonesy's done a good job. Bud House and Jerry Grody. My main man is not hitting is John Milner, and I just hope he could get started here because he's our home run threat.
Yogi Berra, size up of his ball club. They're running polls in New York City to see if they should fire Yogi in July. Geronimo struck out his first time. That's a strike. That reminds me of the famous time that they fired Bing Devine as general manager, and Johnny Keane was supposed to be out, and the Cardinals rallied and won the pennant against the club you played on, the Yankees.
Right.
Base hit by Geronimo to right field. Each team now has 3 hits.
Karen, this is the time in the ball game where Tom Seaver, if the effects of 290 innings and that stiffness in his shoulder are going to tell.
Well, the Reds led off with a double in the 4th but couldn't score. Now they have Geronimo at first. Darrell Cheney's up. He struck out his first time. They're playing in tight at 3rd. Wayne Garrett, Milner's ready to charge from 1st. And they had him going for it. Strike 1 to Darrell Cheney. Billingham, the pitchers, on deck. Mets are leading 1-0, last of the 5th inning.
Geronimo has stolen just 1 base during the course of the year, but he has better speed than that. See if Sparky puts a play on.
Fastball buzzes through. No balls, 2 strikes to Cheney. Seaver has struck out 5 so far. No walks. He's hit a batter.
I'm going to correct myself on that, Kurt. He's stolen 1 base against the Mets. He's 5 in 10 attempts on the season.
Cheney's gone. Seaver has just overpowered him on 6 pitches. Strikeout number 6 for Tom Seaver. Seaver led the National League with the lowest earned run average, 2.08. And to show you his greatness, that's the 3rd earned run average title he's copped in the last 4 years. He's won the strikeout crown 3 of the last 4 years. You know, the Reds make no bones about it. They say Seaver's the best pitcher in the National League. Every player in the team. 1 out. Ball 1, Billingham squaring away. Billingham struck out his first time. You have Rose on deck. The Mets are defensing against the bunt. They'll have everybody moving, charging at the corners, pitcher charging, catcher going out, shortstop covering second covering first, and the outfielders on the move to back up. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Kurt, the Reds have said that Seaver might be the best pitcher in baseball in the National League, but they also say that they do not have the best pitching staff. They feel they have the best pitching staff in the National League.
Tried to bunt and missed. 1 ball, 2 strikes. You're going to get some arguments over the American League around Baltimore. They think Jim Palmer's the best.
Yeah. Oakland's got a few.
Let's just say I like
Catfish.
that. Would you like to have both Seaver, Hunter, and Palmer on your staff?
Would you throw Nolan Ryan in for me, too?
1 ball, 2 strikes. And he bunts on the 3rd strike. Miller makes the play to Meehan, a sacrifice for Billingham. So that sets it up for Pete Rose. So far, Seaver's handled Rose on a pop-up and a fly ball.
He's had him swinging late, both times to the left side.
Pete Rose is now a 10-year player with the Reds. It means that he can't be traded without his consent. Born and reared in this town, he wants to wind it up here. His father taught him how to switch hit, and he has been Cincinnati Reds all the way since he was a little boy. He's hit over 300 his last 9 years. A strike to him. He attended Western Hills High School here in Cincinnati, where he was a teammate of Ed Brinkman, who now is the Detroit Tigers shortstop. 1 ball, no strikes. Foul back, 1-1. The Mets are leading 1-0. Last of the 5th inning. Geronimo's on second, 2 down for the Reds. On deck, Joe Morgan.
Curt, day in, day out, there's nobody in baseball that plays harder than Pete Rose, and I don't know of anybody more exciting. His antics on the base pass and his hard style of play.
Fouls it back. Let's take a look again in our center field camera, if we can, and see how far he stands back from the plate. But he strides toward the plate and toward the pitch. And he says he covers the outside of the plate very well. So they think I can. He also hits out of a severe crouch. Watch him now. Way back and crouches. A 1-2 pitch. 2-2. They can't jam him. He's so far back. He can handle those inside pitches. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 out. Geronimo at second. He hits better left-handed than he does right-handed by a wide margin. Oh, he had ideas of reaching. Count goes to 3-2.
And Seaver thought he had the pitch. Thought it caught the outside part of the plate. He turned that one over, Curt. It really ran away from Rose.
Three and 2 pitch. Strike 3. Rose is caught looking. 3 times in a row, Seaver has nailed Rose. No runs, a hit, no errors, 1 left. At the end of 5, 1-0 Mets.
Man, watch Joe Willie
get creamed again.
Let Noxzema cream your face so the razor won't. Woo!
The closer you shave, the more you need creamy, soothing, medicated Noxzema.
Let Noxzema cream your face so the razor don't.
No wonder I've got weak knees.
Whew.
We pause now for station identification.
A tragic plane crash threatens to make a small child an orphan. On Emergency tonight.
Dick Schaap with sports tonight at 11.
We're in the 6th inning now at Riverfront Stadium in Cincinnati. Here you see an umpire at third and an umpire, Bruce Froming, down the right field line. We have 6 umpires in the game. And Billingham's first pitch to Rusty Staub is ball 1. Staub has walked and flied out. That's hit sharply to the box. Billingham has him, 1 down. 4, 7, 8 in a row now. Billingham's retired. The last hit he gave up was Seaver's double in the 2nd, which has scored the only run of this game.
And a play like that Billingham just made is strictly instinct, especially off artificial surface. Just happen to have your glove there.
John Milner hitting in the cleanup spot is single and walked. Ball 1 to him. And Miller's being played as a pull hitter to right field. The final college scores, Notre Dame beat Michigan State. They had to struggle. 14-10. Georgia Tech 14, Army 10. Harvard 16, Boston University nothing. Purdue 27, Duke 7. Final scores. A ball and a strike.
Curt, talking to Yogi before the ball game, he says part of the problem with Milner's slump, late season slump, is the fact he's trying to pull the ball too much. He's a better hitter when he goes to left center field with the outside pitch.
Fouled away. Let's take a look where that shortstop's playing, Tony. Cheney's almost in back of second base. Now watch him.
Center fielder Geronimo moved over toward right center. Especially dangerous to try and pull Billingham with that sinker moving away.
That's a good pitch by Billingham. This fastball's a little quicker now than it was earlier.
He throws that sinker ball a lot, Curt, and several times today with 2 strikes on a hitter, he's come over the top with the seams and put a little more speed, a little more oomph behind the fastball, and he's caught some looking.
Well, it's settling down just about the way everyone predicted. A tight pitching duel between Seaver and Billingham. They're the men right now. Cleon Jones has hit into a double play and struck out. A shade outside to him, ball 1. 2 down, bases empty. The Mets batting in the 6th. They're leading 1-0. That curve is over. 1 ball, 1 strike. Strike 2. 1-2. Billingham walked 3. But he hasn't walked anyone since the 3rd inning. He's ahead of the hitters now. The 1-2 pitch. Curve is hit off the end of the bat to Joe Morgan. There's a 1-2-3 inning again for Jack Billingham. At the end of 5 1/2, it's New York 1 and Cincinnati nothing. Tomorrow, 1 o'clock, football, baseball, doubleheader on NBC. You'll see either Baltimore at New England, Cincinnati at Cleveland, New York at Miami, San Diego at Pittsburgh, Oakland at St. Louis, Denver at Kansas City. Then after that, we'll have Game 2 of the National League Championship Series between the Mets and the Reds. Don Gullett against John Matlack. Joe Morgan pops it up. Bud Harrelson squeezes it, and now Rose and Morgan are 0 for 6. One down in the last of the 6th inning. Dan Dreesen is grounded out, and he dumped the double down the left field line. Tom Seaver, this has not been an easy club for Seaver. The Reds, Seaver's won 8 and lost 12 in his lifetime career to Cincinnati. Dreesen fouls it back. 0-1. 1 run, 3 hits for the Mets. No runs, 3 hits for the Reds. The Reds have 1 down, nobody on, last of the 6th inning. Foul again, 0-2. Dreesen has played straight away and deep. He hits to all fields.
Talked to Ted Pazuski, the Reds hitting instructor, before the ball game. He said Dreesen is going to have to make some adjustments. They've started to pitch him inside. He's going to have to learn to pull the ball. He likes the ball away. He likes to reach for the ball and go the opposite direction with it.
1 ball, 2 strikes. He'll be followed by Tony Perez. Fouls the curve off. 1-2.
Pazuski went on to say about young Dan Dreesen that as soon as he learns to pull that inside pitch, he's going to hit a flock of home runs because he's extremely strong.
1-2 pitch. That was a bad pitch, and he had him reaching. Just got a piece of it. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Baltimore 6, Oakland nothing. First game of the American League Championship Series today. Low fastball. 2-2 to Dan Dreesen. Bench has a double, Dreesen a double, Geronimo a single. Those are the 3 hits off Seaver. And a foul ball again.
Curt, Seaver now appears to have, as we look at Perez on deck, Seaver appears to have gone away from that hard fastball most of the time. I think he'll still use it in a strikeout situation, but he seems to be throwing a little bit easier and turning the ball over and trying to sink it to get the ground balls. He's trying to save a little bit, possibly for late in the ball game.
He hasn't walked a batter. He's hit one. 6 strikeouts. This will be a 2-2 pitch to Dan Dreesen. He's giving Seaver a workout. Both these playoff games are complete sellouts today and tomorrow. Another foul. And they're not blacked out. In fact, we have 2 channels televising this game here in Cincinnati.
The crowds all year long on this one today, quite a tribute, Curt, to the front office people here in Cincinnati. They've gone out and worked at promoting and merchandising their product. For them to draw over 2 million at home in the smallest city as Cincinnati is extraordinary.
Struck him out on a curve. Strikeout 7 for Tom Seaver. Tony Perez is grounded out, flied out. Let's check these strikeouts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let me correct myself. 8 strikeouts for Tom Seaver. Tony Perez with 2 outs, nobody on, and the Mets ahead 1-0. Last of the 6th inning. Swinging in that breaking pitch. 0-1. So far, Tom Seaver is wearing him on his watch chain. And Billingham's been just as good since the 2nd inning. Curve again, strike 2. You're right, he's gone to more breaking stuff. He tries to pop the fastball by him now. Or will he tease him with some more breaking stuff?
He does. I would think it'll be high and tight, probably a bad pitch, trying to move Perez away.
Foul tip, strike 3, strikeout number 9 for Seaver. 3 up and 3 down for the Reds at the end of 6. It is 1-0 New York. As we were telling you earlier, that's the inter-club result. Reds winning 4 games in each park this year. They played 12 games against a team out of their division and 18 against a team within their division. Jerry Grody would like to celebrate his birthday today with a base hit. So far he's failed. He's flied out and grounded out. Strike 1 to him. Jack Billingham has retired 10 in a row. Soft curves away. 1 ball, 1 strike. And he's retired 13 of the last 14 batters he's faced. The Seaver's been just a shade better. 1-0 New York. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Grody. Don Hahn's on deck, and then Bud Harrelson. Strike 3. And strikeout number 5 for Billingham.
He has got that curveball, about 3/4 delivery, that is murderous to right-handed hitters. Looks like the old, high school roundhouse. Starts almost behind some of the hitters, it appears, from up here, and ends out on the outside part of the plate.
He's very effective against right-handers. Don Hahn has struck out, lined out to right field. A ball, the Mets are leading 1-0. We're in the 7th inning. Game 2 tomorrow, then a move to New York Monday for Game 3. Curve, strike 1-1.
Watch the curveball. Don Hahn rocking back on his heels, starting right at his shoulders, catching the outside corner.
And a fastball comes through for strike 2 call, 1-2. One ball, 2 strikes. Hahn is gone. That curve again by Billingham. Strikeout number 6 for him.
Curt, the way these Mets scored their first run is kind of unusual off Jack Billingham. Let's watch it again, that breaking ball in slow motion. But talking about that run, look at that ball break. Talking about the run the Mets got, you wouldn't expect a veteran pitcher like Billingham to issue a walk to the number 8 hitter and then let a pitcher, Tom Seaver, beat him with a double. Or not beat him yet, but if that run holds up, he'll have beaten him.
2 down, nobody on for the Mets in the 7th. They're ahead 1-0. The fastball's outside, 1-0. Billingham is not a strikeout pitcher. He struck out an average of 4.8 batters every 9 innings this year. So he's better than his season ratio in this game. He has struck out 6. Seaver struck out 9. 2 balls and a strike. Each team has 3 hits. 2-1 to Bud Harrelson. Foul tip, 2-2. Billingham now with Seaver looking on deck. Billingham's a strike away from whipping the side. Ground ball to Joe Morgan. The Mets are gone in the 7th. Well, the old 7th inning stretch coming up here and sold out Riverfront Stadium with a score 1-0 New York.
Let's listen to last year's most valuable player in the National League, Johnny Bench, talking about the pitching of Tom Seaver.
Oddly enough, he doesn't throw me a lot of strikes. He likes to keep the fastball up and in, and he'll try to keep the fastballs and sliders away. And he will mix in an occasional off-speed curve ball, off-speed slider. He's got great command of his stuff, and you don't know from one day to the next, one time he's seen to the next, what he is going to throw you. But I know one thing. We'll be the first time out there, we'll know that he's going to challenge us how his arm really is, because if he does, he's pretty sound. We won't have to look for too much else the rest of the day.
All right, Johnny Bench has analyzed Tom Seaver. The last time Bench was at the bat, he struck out on 2 bad rising fastballs. And let's see how Seaver handles him this time. Bench has doubled and struck out. The last of the 7th inning. Foul ball back. Pedro Borbon now is going to work in the Cincinnati bullpen. Their ace reliever. He was warming up earlier in the 1st inning when the Mets had the bases loaded, 1 down. Borbon. 1 strike to Johnny Bench. Breaking pitch outside, 1-1. Bench will be followed by Ken Griffey and Cesar Geronimo. A strike, and almost certainly, if we get down to the bottom of the order and the Reds are trailing, they'll hit for Cheney and Billingham. 1 ball, 2 strikes. They're deep and straight away for Bench. Fastball, he was looking for it, and he fouls it off and back at 3rd. Bench was waiting for that one.
Seaver's challenging him with a fastball. He said, here, Johnny, if you can hit my best, go right ahead. And Bench so far has not been able to. Been late on some fastballs. He's swung at some bad pitches.
Cincinnati's been shut out 8 times this year, tying Atlanta for the fewest times shut out in the league. 6 of the shutouts were here in Cincinnati. Only twice were they shut out on the road. Curve is hit to the box through Seaver. Up for the ball, Harrelson. Safe.
Buddy Harrelson had a long way to go as he was playing Johnny Bench well over into the hole at 3rd base, and when Seaver just slowed it down a little bit, it prevented the ball from getting to Buddy Harrelson quickly enough to make a play on Bench.
So Bench has 2 of the 4 hits for Cincinnati. He is a slow man, but he legged that one out. Ken Griffey up now. A very good bunter. Here's a slow motion of
Watch the play again. A good follow through, but just to the right of Seaver. He could not adjust himself. The ball hit off the end of the bat on the breaking ball, but just slowing it up enough. You can see the ball not getting quickly enough to Harrelson.
Strike 1 to Ken Griffey. Griffey likes to bunt. more likely to push a bunt down the third baseline. He's the fastest player in this ball club now. He hit a ground ball to Willie McCovey the last series against the Giants. And he bluffed that bunt. It's a strike to him. McCovey waved the pitcher off to make the play at first, and Griffin beat McCovey by a step. McCovey about 15 feet off the bag. Griffin was 90 feet away.
I think I read somewhere where he has been timed, as we looked at bench being held by Milner at first base. Griffey has been timed in 3.5 seconds going down to first base on a batted ball.
And McCovey said he was one of the fastest players he'd ever seen. There's a drive. What a play by Bud Harrelson as he robs Griffey of a base hit.
There has been pretty much of the key to the Mets during their drive in September when they came from well behind to overtake the rest of the league. Yelling instructions now to his pitcher and the meow, watch the bunt, watch the bunt. He's a leader in that infield. And he always seems to come up with a crucial play. Watch it again, a check swing by Griffey. Harrelson was playing about up the middle as Seaver made a good pitch, a sinker. The dive by Harrelson getting up to throw, but no chance to double bench off.
All right, Cesar Geronimo has struck out and singled. Bud Harrelson with the sparkling play of the game so far. Benches at first, 1 out. The Mets are leading 1-0. 7th inning. Strike 1 to Geronimo. Cheney is on deck. Borbon throwing harder in the Cincinnati bullpen. 1 strike. No action in the Met bullpen. Strike 2 on the outside corner. 0-2.
Curt, if some action should start in the Mets bullpen at this stage of the game, there is Ed Crosby on your left, an infielder, should they pinch hit for Cheney, and Borbon on your right. But should the Mets bullpen become active, you can bet it's going to be that left-hander, Tug McGraw, with a screwball.
Geronimo is the 10th strikeout victim for Tom Seaver. Incidentally, Tug McGraw's father-in-law died this morning, and his wife had to leave town. There was some doubt whether he would be here or not. Larry Stahl is coming out to bat now for Cincinnati. Larry Stahl will replace Darrell Cheney.
So we'll probably see Crosby go in for defensive measures as the Reds take the field.
Crosby goes to short when they hit for Cheney. Larry Stahl, left-handed batter. The Reds have 2 down. Johnny Bench at first. The Mets are ahead 1-0, last of the 7th. Baltimore beat Oakland 6-0. Game 1 of the American League Championship Series. Stahl hit .225 this year, 2 homers, 12 RBIs. The Reds have had excellent pinch hitting, especially from Gagliano and Costco. Strike 1 to Stahl. Seaver has had sharp control. He hasn't walked a batter. He hit Griffey in the 2nd inning. Been ahead of the hitters most of the time. Strike 2. 0-2 to Larry Stahl. And he's throwing just as hard now, Tony, as he was earlier.
Curt, I think it's interesting that in baseball, especially more than most other sports, you have to reprove yourself so often. It's been written about Tom Seaver in some New York papers that he cannot pitch in the clutch. I think he's trying to prove today that he can.
Ball 1, strike 2. We have a soft light now. It's overcast. The lights have been on here at Riverfront. The shadows are gone. No more shadows and bright sunshine. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Strike 3, 11 strikeouts for Seaver. No runs, a hit, no errors, 1 left for the Reds at the end of 7. 1-0 New York Mets. We pause now for station identification.
Columbo enters the case when a winemaker's brother mysterious...
You are looking at a nightmare. The nightmare of banking. The time is now. The place, New York. The eternal line. The paradox of man being forced to wait for his own money.
At Manufacturers Hanover, we're trying to take this nightmare out of banking.
Every branch has a quick deposit box for a simple deposit or payment. And many branches have an express line that gets you to a teller fast. We're doing a lot of things to make banking easier.
Marv Albert, weeknights on the 11th hour.
New shortstop, Ed Crosby. They had tamed him from the Cardinals when they sent pitcher Ed Sprague to St. Louis. And in the 8th inning, Jack Billingham slips the strike over against Tom Seaver. Seaver has doubled in the only run of this game in the 2nd inning with 2 down. Harrelson, who'd walked and first scored on Seaver's double to left center. There's a fly ball into center field. Geronimo waiting, 1 down. Billingham is now retired 14 in a row, 17 of his last 18, and yet he's trailing 1-0. He's not allowed a hit since the 2nd inning.
They've talked about an advantage that the Mets are supposed to have in the pitching department in this series. But this Reds club has good pitching. Don Gullett, Ross Grimsley, Carroll, Hall, Borbon in the bullpen.
Fred Norman, he helped the Reds when they got him from San Diego. Garrett at the top of the Met batting order has singled, grounded out twice, 1 out of 3. 1 run, 3 hits for the Mets, no runs, 4 hits for the Reds. We're in the 8th inning. A strike, 0-1. You know, the Mets have hit only 1 ball out of the infield since the 4th inning, Tony. 1-1. Billingham, you notice, pitches very easily. He sort of fools around with you. Shows you the fastball and the curve and the slider. Nice, easy motion. That one's rammed foul down the first base line. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Curt, it's the type of game you would expect from both of these pitchers in the game today. Seaver, overpowering style, striking out a lot of hitters, getting fly balls with that fastball. Billingham, with good control, usually not quite so sharp today, not striking out many, but getting the ground balls.
Wayne Garrett, the batter, 1 ball, 2 strikes, 1 out, bases empty. Felix Millan is on deck. Fly ball to left field. Pete Rose will get under this one. 2 down. And now 15 in a row retired by Jack Billingham. He's probably thinking, what does the guy have to do? Millan, a sacrifice, grounded out, flied out. Well, you know, we watched him in the World Series last year and today. He's been brilliant every time out in the World Series and today.
In the 8th for the Reds, he'll be the first hitter, and we will probably see a pinch hitter. And you can see, Curt, how the difference in play in the American National League and how that designated hitter comes into play here. Designated hitter, if it would be in existence in the National League, Billingham would stay in the ball game.
We had 12 20-game winners in the American League this year, an all-time record, mostly because they got to stay in and pitch and were not lifted for pinch hitter. 2 balls and a strike. 2 down, nobody on. Tom Hall is now throwing in the Cincinnati bullpen. And this will probably be the last we'll see of Billingham. 2 balls and a strike. Ground ball drilled to shortstop, Crosby. Throws him out, 3 up and 3 down, and Billingham, boy, he was something from the 2nd inning on. At the end of 7 1/2, 1-0 Mets. Remember, the World Series will open a week from today in the American League City. If it's in Baltimore, we'll be on the air at 1:30 Eastern Daylight Time on NBC. If in Oakland, we'll be on at 3:30 Eastern Daylight Time. We'll have 3 night games. When they switch cities to the National League, those will be in prime time, beginning at 8 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time. NBC again presenting the World Series across America and around the world now on television. Hal King, batting 186, 4 homers. They were big ones as pinch hits. Outside for a ball. He struck the blow that started the Reds on their way this year. The Reds have blown a 5-run lead to the Dodgers the night before in July. He came up with Couple of men on, last of the ninth inning, 2 out, hit a pinch hit homer, and the Reds started. Foul ball, 1-1. Tom Seaver and Jack Billingham has staged a brilliant pitching duel as you'll want to see today. Seaver struck out 11, no walks, has hit a batter. He's allowed 4 hits. Billingham's gone now. He wound up retiring 16 in a row. He struck out 6, walked 3 early. From the second inning on, he was almost unhittable. 1 ball, 1 strike. Pete Rose is on deck, and then Joe Morgan. High and away, ball 2. 2 balls and a strike. There's Rose. He's been shut out 3 times. He's itching to get up there. 2-1. A check swing, 3-1.
His fastball is obviously still moving, Curt, as King almost went after it. Hal King is the last left-handed pinch hitter that Sparky Anderson had, should he try and make some more percentage moves with his hitters. From here on in, he's only got right-handed hitters.
No action in the Met bullpen. Seaver behind, 3-1. That's strike 2. This is one of the few batters that Seaver's been behind on. When you're ahead of the hitter with the stuff Seaver has, you're in command. The 3-2 delivery struck him out on an outside fastball, a foul tip. That's strikeout 12 for Tom Seaver.
I see now a left-hander putting a glove on in the Mets dugout, now walking down to the bullpen, a famous 45 in New York, Tug McGraw.
Well, he didn't have a great early part of the season, but how he wound it up. And this morning he received word that his father-in-law died, and his wife had to fly out of Cincinnati this morning.
Seaver apparently having some equipment problems. The right shoe, he may have torn it, dragging that foot that we showed you before the ball game. Most of these pitchers wear extra pieces of leather, double, triple coated, so to speak, on that right toe because they tear up so many pairs of shoes during the course of the year, dragging that shoe in their follow-through.
Tony, he's now struck out 5 of the last 7 men he's faced. He has 12 strikeouts in the game, and if he's bothered by that tendonitis today, he has to be completely sound. Yogi Berra explaining to the umpire. Cincinnati's drive was the longest. From the 1st of July on, they won 60 of their last 86 games. Imagine that, 60 wins and only 26 losses from the 1st of July on. The Mets didn't start their drive till August 27th. Then they won 24 of their last 33. So you really have 2 hot clubs coming into this playoff. Talk about the Mets being hot in September, but so was Cincinnati. Here's Pete Rose now. Ball 1 to him. Rose is fouled out, flied out, and struck out. Joe Morgan on deck. The strike, 1-1. 53,431 is the official paid attendance today. A Major League playoff record. Beating the record of 69 at Shea Stadium. Ball 2 to Rose. So now Seaver was behind pinch hitter King, 3-1, and got him out. Now he's behind Pete Rose, 2 balls and a strike. 1 out, nobody on. Oh-ho. You can hear that one pop into the catcher's mitt of Jerry Grody up here. 2-2.
He's still got enough left for that occasional fastball when he reaches back extra. Garrett at third and Milner at first, really on the line to prevent against that double.
Foul away. 2 balls, 2 strikes to Pete Rose. Both bullpens are still active. Tom Hall for the Reds. There's the first baseman Milner on the line. And Tug McGraw for the Mets. That's a good look for you up the left field foul line. There's a long blast. Going. It is gone. Pete Rose, who hit only 5 homers all year, drilled that one into deep right center, and the game is tied 1-1.
Fastball about belt high inside, and Pete got all of it. He has won this town back, Curt. It was Johnny Bench's town for a couple of years after a couple of MVPs, and there is some rivalry between the two in this town, the rivalry to excel. And Pete has still got them standing on their feet here in Cincinnati.
Yeah, and Joe Morgan is making Seaver wait. He went over to the on-deck circle. Seaver had to go into the dugout and change his shoe. Might have disrupted him a bit. All right, here's Morgan up. Ball one to him. Morgan is fouled out, flied out, and popped out. Well, Billingham's off the hook. He cannot lose this game. And he could win it if his team went ahead this inning. Foul ball, hit hard. 1 ball, 1 strike to Morgan. A 2-2 pitch that Pete Rose hit. 2 balls, 2 strikes to Morgan. 1 out, nobody on, last of the 8th inning. Foul away, 1 ball, 2 strikes. The Reds have out-hit the Mets 5-3.
Curt, there's always a lot of excitement at World Series, but I've never seen a comparable reaction, even during World Series time, which is still going on after Rose's home run.
Curve bends inside. Rose looking up at the scoreboard. 2-2. He's been a Cincinnati Red fan since a little boy here. The 2-2 pitch. Struck him out. A foul tip on a sharp curve. Strikeout number 13 for Tom Seaver. 2 down, nobody on, and Dan Dreesen up. Has grounded out, doubled, and struck out. I wonder how many fans really know Seaver's first name. It's not Tom.
Herman.
George. George Thomas Seaver. Dreesen takes ball 1.
Didn't know that. You come up with a lot of little brilliant gems.
Gotta do something. 1 ball, no strike. That's a strike. 1-1 to Dan Dreesen. Tony Perez on deck. The Mets now in the 9th inning will have the middle of...
Hello, sports fans. This is Lindsay Nelson, and the 1973 Amazing Mets film you're about to see is being brought to you by the good folks at Dairy Lee. Yes, Dairy Lee and all their guaranteed fresh line of great dairy products were with us each and every day right here at Shea Stadium. You know, the 1973 Amazing Mets were winners, and this lineup of great Dairy Lee products is a winner, a guaranteed fresh winner. '73 marked the second World Series appearance for the New York Mets in the last 5 years. The series heroics of this courageous Mets team forced the heavily favored Oakland A's to pull out all the stops every inch of the way. The end came in Game 7 when the A's halted a last-ditch Mets rally in the 9th inning to capture the World Championship 4-3. Even in defeat, the New York Mets won the admiration of countless millions. But the headline sports story of 1973 was not the World Series itself. That the Mets actually got there in the first place was something that defied belief. After all, weren't the Mets dead last in the National League East? Tug McGraw remembers it well.
Mr. Grant, our chairman of the board, decided to have a meeting one day. But before I knew of this meeting, I came to the ballpark the very same day, and I was extremely enthusiastic this day. I felt like, boy, I think it's going to start getting better around here. And I had had a long conversation with a close friend of mine. We were talking about confidence and believing and momentum and things like this. So I came to the ballpark that day all fired up. I was in extremely good mood. And I was out here in the outfield during batting practice hollering to the different players on the club and to the fans. It's, you got to believe, you know, you got to believe.
On a most happy occasion, a group of early returning prisoner of war heroes were invited to toss multiple first pitches, and opening day provided everything a Mets fan could desire. The sun was shining, Tom Seaver was on the mound, the defense was airtight, and Cleon Jones ripped Philadelphia's Steve Carlton for 2 home runs. It all added up to a 3-0 victory, and the Mets were off on the right foot. Second day's success arrived as Willie Mays delivered Ted Martinez with a 2-out single in the bottom of the 9th. The Mets went on to capture their first 4 in a row. Then suddenly, 1973 began to resemble an instant replay of the 1972 season as injuries mounted to disastrous proportions. John Milner, off to a blistering start, was sidelined for 30 games. Cleon Jones also missed 30 contests. Willie Mays was on the shelf for 50. Rookie George Theodore suffered a dislocated hip and missed half the season, while Rusty Staub played virtually the entire year with painful hands and wrists. John Matlack was fortunate to miss only 2 turns when a line drive ricocheted off his forehead. But battery mate Jerry Grody was out for 56 games. Bud Harrelson was sidelined too. All in all, it was tough to take. Tom Seaver explains.
Those are the fellows that we thought were going to be playing for us every day, all season long, and that's one reason why when we left Florida, we thought we had an excellent chance to win. And then all of a sudden, they're hurting in and out of the lineup, and it's very difficult. And I think even more so, the biggest factor is not having Harrelson at shortstop. He makes the defense click, and having him playing shortstop every day is the same thing as having a top-notch pitcher. It keeps you out of a losing streak.
The injury factor was bad enough, but the puzzling collapse of a solid bullpen staff made the Mets situation even worse, and the team suffered 1 losing streak of 5 and several more of 4 straight. The long ball was apparent. Unfortunately, it was the opposition home runs that were exploding, while the Mets' power was short-circuited. There were early bright spots, however. Second baseman Felix Millan came to New York in a trade with Atlanta and displayed a brand of defense that was second to none. Millan was as steady at the plate as he was in the field, leading the team in total hits with a club record of 185. The other half of the Millan trade, pitcher George Stone, broke into the starting rotation in impressive fashion. Wayne Garrett took over at third base and came through with his best major league season. Garrett also helped plug the hole at short when Harrelson was on the injury list. At bat, Wayne led the Mets in game-winning hits with a total of 11. With Willie Mays ailing, the Mets called upon Don Hahn for some sure-handed center fielding. Young Ron Hodges gave the Mets a left-handed hitting catcher who displayed unusual poise for a rookie. Harry Parker was another pleasant surprise, beginning his rookie year with 5 straight wins. The aces of the pitching staff, Jerry Koosman, John Matlack, and Tom Seaver, had imposing earned run averages, but they suffered a collective total of 10 losses by scores of 1-0 or 2-1 as the Mets slipped into last place in the National League East.
Through it all, the Mets fans were loyal, and Shea Stadium was still a fun place to be, particularly for special events like Camera Day, Helmet Day,
Labor Day. Of course, Old Timers Day always means a visit from the old professor, Casey Stengel. General Manager Bob Sheffing and Mrs. Gil Hodges participated in ceremonies that officially retired Gil's number 14. In the Old Timers game, manager Yogi Berra shows he still has his hitting touch. Family Day is always good for some unusual performances. The Mets' wives fielded a most attractive softball team and had an undefeated season, winning a home-and-home series against the Philadelphia Phillies' wives. On a most memorable and moving night, the Shea Stadium crowd roared a heartfelt welcome home to America's prisoner of war heroes. As July ended, the Mets were 10.5 games out and in last place. But a Tom Seaver shutout and John Milner's slugging triggered a doubleheader sweep over Pittsburgh and a modest 4-game win streak. Most important of all, the injury corps was on the comeback trail, and the Mets finally had some reason to believe. Jerry Grody returned to full-time duty and hit over 300 from August 3rd on through the season finale. Bud Harrelson reclaimed his shortstop position to shore up the defense as the Mets pulled together in quest of a storybook finish. Harrelson explains the Mets' rejuvenation this way.
Early in the season, I'd say we had a lot more ups and downs than we did late in the season when we got the good pitching and we got our good defense, which we've always had. And I think the basic secret of our ball club is key hits, which I feel we got the key hits late in the season and we didn't get them early in the season.
Cleon Jones bounced back with a vengeance that included 14 runs batted in for the last 10 games of the season. Cleon put it all together in the outfield, too. John Milner regained his early season hitting form and led the Mets with a total of 23 home runs. Rusty Staub compensated for his aching wrist by going with a pitch to the opposite field. And when the opportunity presented itself, Rusty gave it a ride, leading the Mets in the RBI department. The only missing piece in the Mets' mystery puzzle was bullpen ace Tug McGraw.
Every time the phone rang throughout the entire season, I always hope it would be me to come into the ball game, and this would be the day that I would come out of my slump, and sooner or later, that's what happened.
Incredibly enough, Tug McGraw didn't chalk up his first win of the season until August 22nd. But from there on in, Tug was 5-0 with an earned run average of 0.90.
This is your part of the game. This is your job, and it's time for you to function right now. And you really do get keyed up for it. It's usually an exciting event because you don't usually come in unless there's a crucial situation. And it's a tremendous relief to see that last ball come into somebody's glove, or to see that ball go into the catcher's glove and strike somebody out, and know that you've put out the rally, that you've won the ball game, and that now you can look forward to going in and take a shower and going home and getting out of there, because tomorrow the same thing might happen all over again.
And it sure did. McGraw was untouchable, the king of the bullpen once more. On September 19th, 3 innings of shutout relief saved a win for George Stone against the Pirates. And the Mets had closed to within a game and a half of first place. The Mets aimed for their 3rd win in a row over Pittsburgh on September 20th. But with 2 out in the bottom of the 9th, the Pirates led 3-2. Manager Yogi Berra called on his bench, and Duffy Dyer responded. Dyer's resounding double brought Ken Boswell home with a tying run. Then in the top of the 13th, the Mets got a tremendous break. Here's the play-by-play.
The 2-1 pitch. Hit in the air to left field. It's deep. Back goes Jones by the fence. It hits the top of the fence. Comes back in play. Jones grabs it. The relay throw to the plate. They may get him. He's out. He's out at the plate. An incredible play.
Here's another look at the ball-on-the-wall miracle. David Augustine's drive hits the edge of the very top of the fence. Another fraction of an inch, and it's gone. Then the ball rebounds as if by magic directly to Cleon Jones. A perfect Jones to Garrett to Hodges relay play maintains the deadlock going into the bottom of the 13th. With 1 out and Milner on second, Ron Hodges is the batter.
2-strike delivery. And a line drive into short left field, coming into Stargell, base hit. Rounding third, heading home Milner. The throw coming in, the Mets win.
Now only 1/2 game out. The amazing Mets tackle the Pirates in a first-place showdown on September 21st. The Mets' heavy artillery is out in force, and they bomb Steve Blass for 4 runs in the opening inning. Then it becomes long ball night at Shea as John Milner tees off. Wayne Garrett belts 1 out. And Rusty Staub cracks number 15.
And the windup, the pitch. And a bouncing ball out in front of the plate. Grody has it. Throws to first, and Mets win it. The New York Mets are in first place. Grody pounced on the ball through to Milner. They're ganging Tom Seaver as Seaver tries to get into the dugout.
From the depths of last place on August 30th to first place on September 21st. You gotta believe. John Matlack's 4-hit shutout over St. Louis makes it 5 in a row for the streaking Mets. The next day, Wayne Garrett's booming triple helps overcome an early Cards lead as the Mets look for their longest winning streak of the year. Following an outstanding relief performance from Harry Parker, Yogi asked Tug McGraw to lock it up. Tug nails down a 5-2 win for Parker, and the Mets couldn't have picked a better time to reel off 6 in a row. With the Mets pennant saga growing into high drama, there was one very poignant pause down the home stretch when Willie Mays announced that 1973 would be his final season as an active player. The legend of Wondrous Willie encompassed 22 years of glory. Although most of his heroics were performed in the uniform of the San Francisco Giants, his most devoted followers were right here in New York City. It was only fitting that Willie should wind up his career in New York, and his triumphant return in May of 1972 will always be a day to remember. This season, with injuries a 42-year-old body couldn't ignore, Willie still managed to help the Mets win several games with key hits and that marvelous baseball instinct that never deserted him. New York fans would not allow May's farewell to pass without tribute. And September 25th was Willie Mays night.
Ladies and gentlemen, Willie Mays.
I hope that with my farewell tonight, you would understand what I'm going through right now. Something that I never feel that I would ever quit baseball. But as you know, it always comes a time for someone to get out. And I look at the kids over here, the way they are playing, and the way they are fighting for themselves, tells me one thing. Willie, say goodbye to America. Thank you very much.
After the fans express their love for Willie, Jerry Koosman and Montreal's Steve Rogers hook up for a good old-fashioned pitching duel. Cleon Jones comes through with another clutch home run to make it 2-1. And it's Tug McGraw time. Cleon saves the night. The Mets strengthen their hold on first place. And it's on to Chicago for the final series of the year. The Mets need 2 victories to clinch the National League East title, but they'll have to wait as 2 days of rain force them into back-to-back doubleheaders. Sunday, September 30th is another dreary day, and it's not much brighter when John Matlack loses a 1-0 heartbreaker in the opener. But the New Yorkers come alive in the nightcap. Aided by Cub errors, the Mets score 3 times in the first inning. Cleon Jones gives Jerry Koosman some extra breathing room. Then the defense takes over in spectacular fashion. Koosman goes the distance, and the magic number is 1. '73 Cy Young Award winner Tom Seaver goes after the clincher. Chicago's knuckle curve artist Bert Hooton provides the opposition. And that man again, Cleon Jones, opens the scoring. For Cleon, his 6th home run in the final 10 games. Timely hitting by Jerry Grody and Rusty Staub helps build a 6-2 lead for Tom Seaver. And the Mets are just 9 outs away from the East Division crown. But Seaver is tiring, and the Cubs fight back to within 2 at 6-4 on a Rick Mundy home run. Yogi Berra calls on Tug McGraw to do it one more time. Another save today would make it 25 on the year. And as one writer put it, he saved more than games. He saved the season.
Now the stretch by the draw, the 3-2 delivery. The runner goes, and a little pop-up. Milner grabs it. He'll run to first. Double play. The Mets win the pennant. The Mets have just won the pennant in the Eastern Division. It's all over. The Mets have won it with a magnificent stretch drive. They won 19 and lost only 8 in September. They've won their first October ball game, and with it, they have won the pennant in the Eastern Division.
And it's pitching that makes winners. I know a lot of clubs, the first thing they ask from us is our pitching. You know, they want one of our pitchers. I'm not about to leave a Matt like go 22 years old or 23. My gosh, you realize the career he's got, and they're going to have to pay a pretty good price to get one of my pitchers.
But there's still a National League pennant at stake. Following a split in Cincinnati, Mets owner Mrs. Joan Payson throws out the first ball in New York, and then Jerry Koosman takes over from there. Red starter Ross Grimsley finds trouble early in the person of Rusty Staub. Staub's solo blast in the first is just a warm-up for his second-inning 3-run shot that caps a 5-run uprising. The Mets are up 9-2 when the Reds' frustrations finally boil over.
Ground ball hit down to first base. Milner has it, throws to Buddy Harrelson, 1 to first, double play! And a fight breaks out. A fight breaks out. Pete Rose and Buddy Harrelson, both clubs spill out of the dugouts, and a wild fight is going on. Jerry Koosman's in the middle of the fight. Everybody is out there. Buddy Harrelson and Pete Rose got into it. Rose apparently thought that Harrelson had done something in making the double play. Rose outweighs Harrelson about 35 pounds. And now, Buzzy Capra is in a fight. Capra is in a fight out in center field. Another fight breaks out.
Jerry Koosman never loses his cool, and the Mets are just 1 game away from the National League flag. Superman may not be undefeated anymore, but his sense of humor is intact. Buddy will merely resume his role as a mild-mannered shortstop in Gotham as George Stone tries to seal the pennant for the Mets. Sparkling defensive play highlights a tense pitcher's duel. Rusty Staub saves the game for Stone with a pretty over-the-shoulder grab. Then he saves it again for McGraw with this incredible catch. But Pete Rose connects with a Harry Parker fastball in the 12th inning, and the stage is set for sudden death in the 5th game of the National League playoffs.
The Mets will have to do it without Rusty Staub. Rusty injured his shoulder on yesterday's play of the day. Tom Seaver is Yogi Berra's mound choice. Seaver clinched the Eastern Division title in Chicago, and now the pennant is in his hands. Jack Billingham is the Red starter, but he's shaky in the opening inning. With Staub out, Ed Kranepool moves in and produces a line single to left, giving the Mets a 2-0 lead. The Reds even the score, but in the bottom of the 5th, the Mets go to work once more as Wayne Garrett doubles to right center. Felix Millon's well-executed bunt puts 2 runners on when Dan Driesen forgets there's no force at third. Cleon Jones belts a long double, scoring Garrett, and the Mets regain the lead 3-2. John Milner walks to load the bases, and here comes Willie Mays to pinch hit for Cranepool. Willie's Baltimore chop single may be one of the shortest hits of his fabulous career, but it may also be one of his most important, as the Mets break loose for 4 runs and a 6-2 lead. Cleon Jones rifles a single to center, scoring Tom Seaver in the 6th, and the Mets are flying high with a 7-2 advantage. Seaver protects that 5-run margin into the 9th, and Felix Millan records the first out. Now the tension mounts for manager Yogi Berra and his Mets as Seaver tires and the Reds threaten. Cincinnati loads the bases with just 1 out, and the heart of the batting order coming up. Yogi decides it's Tug McGraw time again. McGraw gets Joe Morgan to pop up. Harrelson puts it away. And the Mets need 1 more out to complete their miracle.
Doug McGraw gets the sign, goes into the motion. Here's the 2-strike pitch. Swung on, hit on the ground toward first. Milner has the ball. Flips to McGraw. It's over. The New York Mets have won the pennant. The New York Mets have won the pennant. The New York Mets have won the pennant, and this is a wild scene. Fans are pouring out onto the field. A mad scene at Shea Stadium as the New York Mets have won the National League pennant.
Call it what you want. The most spectacular comeback in baseball history, another miracle, or a fantastic performance by a team that exemplified courage. But one thing certain, when it was all over, everyone believed. With the pennant flag flying over Shea, it's on to the future. And you gotta believe more in '74.